Well, thanks. A couple years back when I first started looking at the different models and the vendors and the capabilities of a public wireless network, it was at the request of the mayor of the city of Aurora, Illinois, who's the second largest city in the state of Illinois. And we started to hear about this thing, and he had his certain set of issues that he wanted to do and resolve at a community level, as well as for the entire city at large. But what I'm here today to stand in front of you and talk about is a little bit about not so much the models that have seemed to rise to the top relative to deployment of municipal wireless infrastructure, but really some of the gotchas that we experienced along the way. And I got to tell you, there was just no way to predict what we had run into over the last 2 years, up to and including on Jim Ballard's Ballard Herbst list as of just Friday, I believe it was, where they talked about an article in the Beacon News about the inability for us to have completed what we expected to complete by September due to some pole attachment agreements and negotiations that are continually going on. So I stand before you as the president of Broadband Technology Associates. That's my consulting group, and have been on contract with the city of Aurora since 2004. But this is what I like to start out with, because you cannot determine exactly how to solve problems if you keep and stay at the same level of thinking you were when those problems were created. It takes a broader view. And for everyone that's sitting here today, there's a wealth of experience in this room, not only from those who have experienced things firsthand, like myself and several other communities, but things that are yet to come that we still haven't figured out. And I think that's the common ground that we all share by sitting in this room today. So I look back upon this and I say, well, in the beginning it was nothing more than what I considered a conjecture. And a conjecture just would suggest that there's things that are yet to be determined to fulfill the fact that you can actually base an experience of something on it. And conjectures are unproven, or at least attempt to be proven, to the point where they become a little bit more substantive. And so I look at the last 2 years as really fulfilling what I call the Aurora conjecture. But why did we want to do it in Aurora, Illinois? Well, again, there were the technology side, and then there was the social side. There was the classic digital divide between our east side community and our west side community, and then there was politicians. So there was a numerous things that we needed to do in order to help drive economic development at the time. We started the project when there was actually a mayoral campaign going on. So our economic development public-private partnership called Seize the Future actually set about on a course to educate both the state and local representatives in that area. And what we said was, well, regardless of who wins, this community at large needs certain things to be certain things to have accomplished. One was that we were trying to drive the core of downtown and transform that into a new live, work, play environment by building condominiums and setting up shops and building little villages and housing units or housing developments along the Fox River. It was a pretty massive undertaking, and subsequent to the launch of what we called our city plan, we've seen a capital infusion of about $150 to $250 million of mixed-use commercial and residential real estate development at the core of the city. So we realized that that kind of economic transformation required a technological infrastructure upgrade, and it was a 100-year-old city. Of course, we had the classic digital divide, and then we knew that if we wanted to populate these new $150,000 and $250,000 condominiums along the Fox River, that we needed to attract businesses, and we needed to attract the residents with the income to be able to afford those types of condominium units. We also wanted to work for greater efficiencies inside the city government, and overall just make Aurora a more competitive place and stay the second largest city in the state of Illinois. Because between the years 2000 and 2007, there have been a multitude of communities in the top 10 that have fluctuated from second down to fourth, down to fifth, back to third, depending on population variances and people moving to where jobs were. So it appears that at this time in this field, we really are looking at 4 basic models. And although you could see different iterations and sometimes a mixture of these models, these are basically the 4 that have come basically to the front line. You could read for yourself, but just as the high level, the municipal model seems to be one that we've seen implemented several areas, and actually that's the one that